Oh, April 28th. Whoop, almost knocked my light over. This guy right here. In case you're wondering why the light is so good in here typically with doing interviews. That's why. It's all pretend. The conversation of the day. It's going to be a relatively short one. And it is about the prefrontal cortex and surprise, surprise. And specifically to what we know and maybe what we don't quite understand. For example, like I knew up to this point that our prefrontal cortex doesn't fully develop till 25, 26. And I learned this, and my colleague Blaine is in here, and we're discussing exercises in order to help people engage their prefrontal cortex, strengthen it in order to have better adaptability. So, for example, you might ask, well, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Why does the prefrontal cortex matter? Well, HRV, which is the measurement of it, is probably the best indicator if you're going to get sick of cancer and die from cancer, and or chronic cardiovascular disease or heart attack. So pretty much a good assessment for health. Is one of the best. Second reason, on a more personal reason, is imagine just being comfortable in all scenarios all the time. So going in a new room, a bunch of strangers, fully comfortable, easy. That would be an example of a fully functioning prefrontal cortex. Be able to go into any situation and then feel fine. No social anxiety, no tension, no stress, just going into an environment, existing, connecting, belonging. So we get talking about this prefrontal cortex. And he's like, I don't know if prefrontal cortex is really actually developed by 25. And I was like, well, let's look it up. Because there's got to be some kind of measurable standard of like this number that's made. I mean, people wouldn't just make up a number and then tell us it and then have dummies like myself regurgitate it for years, would they? And apparently, yes, they would. Because the prefrontal cortex, the reason why it's been set to be fully developed at 25, 26 is because after that, that's when we decline. So just functionally, productive-wise, it's just when we start to degrade. In fact, brain by volume measurement, we are fully developed, excuse me, by 90% fully developed brain prefrontal cortex by like 5 years old. 6, you're at 95%. So then by between 6 and 25, 19 years, we develop that last 5%. So that makes me question something. Makes me question really if that is a good factual number, or if there's some truth to be said about like when Jesus talked about like, hey, be like a child, because being like a child is when our prefrontal cortex is fully functional. In fact, as an adult is when it declines past 25. And so as I relate this back to sexual abuse awareness, sexual assault awareness month of April, the fun month that it's been, really, I would be curious to see if that standard changes, because I don't know if you guys all knew this, but during the pandemic, the standard for child development actually got switched back. So motor milestones that were normal before are now not normal. In fact, they're reduced quite a bit. So meaning like children are not developing as at the rate that they used to before. They're developmentally delayed significantly. And I would say that there's probably a strong amount of evidence to point that our prefrontal cortex is actually developmentally delayed also, in the evidence of the rate of men hurting women and men objectifying women, and then women, as we've talked about with Elizabeth on here the last couple of weeks, then getting stuck in that addiction process of being addicted to being used as tools. So I guess this fun field lecture, this closing out this month, with there's only a couple more left to do, is just to bring awareness that assault and sexual assault awareness is maybe more to do with development, maybe more to do with the nervous system development and how that development has been delayed. In essence, it could be possible that the majority of people right now have an underdeveloped or delayed developed brain. For sure, all the kids that have been born in the last 5 to 10 years are now notably delayed because they've changed the marker. And so what if I don't know. I'll ask you a question. Comment below if you feel so bold. Would you rather be the normal person to the standard that keeps on getting developed, or would you rather be a person that elevates the bar for everybody else in order to then get the people around you to be better? Because the thing that I've noticed in the conversations, and for those that are interested, I'm doing a talk on Wednesday, which is The Walking Dead, Stop the Spread of The Walking Dead. And we'll talk about the polyvagal theory on healing, and how as someone goes from a disassociated dorsal vagal shutdown mode to starting to digress and to heal out of that mode, one of the first feelings they feel is shame. And I can't help but, I had a conversation at lunchtime, and it ended up digressing to the point of shame and the person feeling really bad, and how he's like, I don't want to feel bad about this. And instead of maybe being like, okay, I'm a person that's going to placate to people's feelings, is what if we can all develop the point where our prefrontal cortex are strengthened, and then in essence, by just being stronger around other people, you actually help those around you get stronger also. Because that's what happens. You don't have to lower yourself to the shame cycle of other people as they shut down and want to go back into numb and disassociated. You can hold yourself to a higher standard. And so that's one of the things we're going to dive into great detail on Wednesday at 10 o'clock right here in the center. And then we're actually working on also a program which is going to be step-by-step things to do every day, daily check-ins to activate the prefrontal cortex. So if you'd be interested, we're going to look for a beta group that wants to participate in that program. And so if you're interested in being part of that, comment below, and then I'll get you as part of the mix. Because the research that we're now doing is showing it is possible to get people's brains back engaged. It is possible to get them balanced. It's possible to strengthen them. And then there's a direct relationship and correlation to the strengthening of the people around them. So I'm tired of bringing awareness to sexual assault. And my prayer is that by the time my kids are adults, it is one of those things where we look back on it, very similar how medical doctors used to drill holes into people's heads to let the demons out. Where we look back and be like, stupid. People believed the COVID vaccine worked. Idiots. Okay, same bat channel, same bat place. See you tomorrow.